running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out.
Hello, Miami. Thank you so much for watching 305 Sports Now. I am your host. Well, thank you so much for everybody that watched and participated yesterday in College Bliss from the FTS and Extra. With me, Q, and Russ Morgan. We had a wonderful time chatting about Miami Hurricanes, and the viewership has been pretty good on that podcast, both on X and also on YouTube. Thanks so much for the grand support. I'll be making an announcement regarding Q about a couple minutes or so stay tuned for that as well. So I want to bring about exactly what the conversation has been, and it shocked a lot of Miami Hurricanes fans, the fact that Derrek Cooper, that was being seen as a Miami lean and had a commitment date for July 12th, has decided to postpone his commitment date, and that has sent shockwaves across the Miami Hurricane fandom. And the reason why is because we thought that we had this young man basically to lose, okay, because he seemed like he was trending towards Miami. I will say this, though. I can understand the concern about what Miami Hurricanes fans have, and I understand it, especially since we had a rocket start to the month of June. I would even say even entering the middle of June as well, in which we had acquisitions like Cannon Pickett, right, as well. And of course, we had the wide receiver, formerly the flip from the wide receiver from Tennessee as well, Evans as well. So we've been doing really well. So I want to give due what's due, especially what Coach Cristobal has done as far as recruiting goes. Now, what I think is also kind of worrying the fan base is the fact that now we've ended the middle of June, and towards the end of June, entering July, we're starting to see some guys that originally were seen as possible Canes now starting to drift away, and Derrek Cooper may be one of those guys. He was originally, for like a cup of coffee, a Georgia commit, quickly decommitted and decided to pretty much take his visits. Now, there have been some other players as well. I know Ohio State is also coming after him as well, but it seems to be still a Miami versus Georgia battle. And it seems to be going to be like that for the rest of the recruiting cycle, because Miami usually has wars with Ohio State. This year's team happens to be the Georgia Bulldogs, as we've been pretty much getting recruits left and right amongst each other. Like Van Spafford flips from Georgia, goes to Miami. We get Jackson Catwell, they get Justice Fitzpatrick, right, as well. They got James Johnson. We were in the running for James Johnson. You guys get the drift. So we've lost some guys, okay, to say the least, as far and the recruiting wars, and there's some concern that others may be slipping away. Derrek Cooper, in many cases that I've been watching and I've been hearing about, there seems to be that kind of concern. I want to let the fan base know there was a bit of concern for Jackson Cantwell, as Jackson Cantwell kind of delayed his commitment date and gave UGA what seemed to be UGA another shot, another pitch. At the end of the day, he still chose Miami. I will say this, though. Even if Derrek Cooper were to commit on July 12th, I don't think that recruitment is over. I don't think he shut down his recruitment. In my opinion, Derrek Cooper is the best athlete in this recruiting cycle. Derrek Cooper is a young man that could do it all on the football field. He could play running back. He could block as a running back as well. You can even line him up at wide receiver. You could also line him up at linebacker. He can even probably play a little safety as well. So he's a jack of all trades when it comes to football, okay? And he's a master. I will say he's mastered the art of being a running back, and he's a very good linebacker as well. So you could put him in any position on the football field, and he will be a great success without missing a beat. So that is why I understand why the fan base is worried. But I also understand that even if he was to commit on July 12th, I don't think it's over. So remember, like my buddy Joe says, wake me up when December's over, or something like whatever he says, over at the You Heard podcast. So I want everyone to get that. But I this is a guy that I will say, him and Heze Kent are my two favorite recruits this cycle. Heze Kent, although 247 has him still projected to go to Miami, there hasn't been much talk about him. I'll get into other guys I'm worried about as well. There hasn't been much talk about him, and I think On3 has him still as a Florida lean. So we'll see how that goes. I think he is committing on, I think it's July 10th or July 12th. That's what I heard. So we'll see how that commitment process goes. Miami's also in line for Zachary Turner. That's another one that's slipping away. I'll get into some of the guys I'm worried about after I speak about Derrek Cooper. But Derrek is a must get. Okay, I'm looking at my own notes here from when I did the possible King segment. The guy's averaging almost 10 yards a pop. Okay, Shamanan has a very talented football team, and Shamanan also plays very good competition. And the fact that he's averaging 9 yards a pop as a junior, I expect a lot more. I expect him to really ball out a senior year with 13 touchdowns. Says a lot. Almost 1,000 yards rushing. Very talented linebacker as well. Great at tackling, like I mentioned. His ball skills are sick. He had 4 interceptions as a sophomore. Again, this is a guy that Miami has to pull out all the stops to make sure he lands with your football team. So that being said, I still see Derrek Cooper committing to Miami. If I'm not mistaken, he did grow up a Miami fan early on. I know the lure of Georgia is still there. Georgia, the success that they've had recently is attractive to young recruits. I get that, but I do think that Miami is in good position to land Derrek Cooper. And I do believe at the end of the day, Miami will land Derrek Cooper. They're going to put out all the stops to make sure Derrek Cooper is wearing green and orange for the University of Miami in the future. Okay, so that's just my prediction. I do think eventually he will be a Miami Hurricane, whether it's now or whether it's on signing day. I do believe he will be a Miami Hurricane. I don't believe that Mario Cristobal, Merritt, and Shannon Dawson are all going to stop recruiting this young man, right? As it goes, even Corey Heatherman, because he's going to probably play linebacker as well for the University of Miami at big, because I know he wants to go and be a two-way player for whatever school he plays for. So that's just what I'm saying. Okay, now the concerns about other guys, Calvin Russell. People thought it was his recruitment's been all over the place. Originally, it was Syracuse versus Miami. That seems to have dwindled away. That it was LSU versus Miami. Now he releases his top 4, and Miami is not even in there. Neither is LSU. It's Oregon, Syracuse, Michigan, and Florida State. Yeah, I know. Florida State. I don't get it either. So then there's Miami is really in the hunt also for Brett Koleje. Brett Koleje is being seen now as more of a Georgia lean. Okay, as well. I mentioned Heze Kent. Okay, we don't know where that's going. Another one as well, Zachary Turner, talented tight end as well. People thought, a week ago, he's a Cane. Now he's being slated to go to SMU. So these are just concerns that we're having. I will say this, though. Miami is still in a good position to be in the top 10 as far as recruiting goes. I do believe some of these guys will win some, will lose some of these battles. Okay, so I really urge the fan base, just in this case, remember, recruiting is a marathon. It's not a sprint. When it comes to recruiting, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And the sprint is in December, and in some cases, January, February, whenever it is that it's done. It's officially done. So I want to let everybody know. Okay, so yes, it sucked with Derrek Cooper because now you're like, what? What's going on here? He's just trying to do due diligence. He's not ready yet. Let him take his time. But I do think at the end of the day, my opinion, Miami's do whatever they can to get this young man. He was a fan, from what I understand, as a kid. So that's where I'm at. But you have to make sure you land this kid because you need to pair him up with Javion Mallory. And by the way, Alabama's coming for Javion. But I do think he will stick with his recruitment at the end of the day. Now, going back to the whole what I mentioned about Q earlier. So I have been plugging, okay, whether it's on here or whether it's on other platforms, that on July 5th, I will be covering the Calvin Russell commitment with Q. Q and I will be going on air together. We'll be breaking down Calvin Russell, what we like about him in general, where we think he's going to go. That has changed. Okay, that has changed because whether he's trolling or not, Dono mentioned a top 3 on his show on Locked On Canes. I saw recently on X a top 4. One does not include Miami nor LSU. So some people are asking, is he trolling? Is he messing around? Is he going to put a Canes hat on and just make people think he's going to other schools? I'll be very honest with you about this. I mean, he can do whatever he wants, to be honest with you. I'm not going to criticize the young man at all for having a little fun with his recruitment. But I'm not going to cover, I'm not going to do a live show being a Miami-based podcast and being a very Cane-centric podcast on a kid that doesn't have Miami's hat on the table. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. So that's something that I've decided, that me and Q talked about it, that I decided that I'm not going to do. So we decided that we're going to change to Bryce Perry Wright. Bryce Perry-Wright is considered to be a Clemson lean. He'll be committing on the same day as Calvin Russell. His commitment is going to be at 5 p.m. as of right now. I will say this, though. Even though he's a Clemson lean, Miami's hat will be on that table. So, therefore, I will be covering Bryce Perry-Wright along with Q on Friday around 5 o'clock. I haven't set a time. I'm sorry. On July 5th, I have not set a time yet completely because I want to make sure it's 5 o'clock. We'll go on a little bit before to make sure that we get things right. Okay. So that's it. That's all I really wanted to say. All right. As far as that goes. So I will not be covering Calvin Russell again, because from what I've seen, Miami's hat will not be on the table. So I won't be covering Calvin Russell, but we will be covering Bryce Perry-Wright. Just because Miami's hat is on, you never know. You never know. People thought that Jackson was going to be a Georgia lean, and all of a sudden he puts on the Miami hat. So you don't know what we don't know what happens. Okay. So that's all I really wanted to say. So ladies and gentlemen, that is it for me. All right. Please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. 305 Sports Now. Everybody, God bless. Have a wonderful 4th of July. Happy Independence Day as well. But before we leave, I want to leave you guys with a word from our sponsor, Fan Outfitters. Ooh, Miami. I am proud to announce that Fan Outfitters is the official sponsor of 305 Sports Now. With locations in Pembroke Pines, Davie, and Kendall, you can find the latest gear and accessories for all your favorite South Florida teams. Teams like your Miami Hurricanes, your Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Inter Miami, Miami Marlins, and many, many more. So if you ever find yourself in the Pembroke Pines area, Davie, or Kendall, please stop by Fan Outfitters, the official sponsor of 305 Sports Now.